You remember when witches were like this?
I'll get you, my pretty.
I miss those days.
Watch it, Alan, I'm shooting.
The Witch. The Witch is a period piece horror movie that was made in 2015 and came out in 2016. We follow this Puritan family after they've been kicked out of their village because they wanted to practice their religion in their own way. They move to this area near the woods and try to start their own life, build their own farm, start from scratch. Soon the eldest daughter, Thomisan, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, is playing peekaboo with the baby, and the next thing she knows, it disappears. It's just peekaboo and it's gone.
Sam?
The family blames Thomisan for the peekaboo disappearance, and then strange things start happening around the farm. Crops won't work, goats, when you milk them, they start squirting out blood, there's possession, and a lot of other weird occurrences. Including weird goings-on with a goat that the children of the house have dubbed Black Phillip. Just remember, when goats are involved, it's never good, unless they faint. This movie got quite a bit of buzz when it first came out. A lot of people praised it as the best horror movie to come out in a long time. One of the best horror movies of the decade. And unfortunately, that killed my first viewing. This is one of the things I hate about the internet. Every time a new horror movie comes out that gets some good buzz, everybody has to hype it up beyond all belief. The same thing happened to me with Cabin in the Woods and The Conjuring. People blew those movies up so much for me that when I finally saw it, it just killed the experience. That's not always a bad thing. I think word of mouth popularity is the best praise that a movie can have, but when a movie is hyped up the ass, then good movies can suffer for it. That's why I only check out 1 or 2 reviews before I see a movie coming out in theaters today. So when I went to see The Witch in theaters, I felt kind of let down. Not that it's a bad movie, it's just that with all the hype, it ruined the experience. At first. It wasn't until the second time I watched it that I found myself fully enjoying the movie, and that's saying something. There was enough here to make me want to go back to it a second time, and it was much better the second time. Sometimes leftovers can be better than the actual meal. Cold pizza is awesome, I don't care what anyone says.
What is...
2 things you have to keep in mind when going into this film. First, it's a slow burn. It takes a long build-up to get to the spooky. I've stated before that slow burn does not equal bad movie. A lot of people have the misconception that, oh, it's a slow burn, that means it's going to be boring, but not if it's done well. Look at the movie Carrie. The whole movie is a build-up to the prom scene, but we're given enough interesting stuff as we journey along to it. The Witch gives you an interesting slow burn if you also keep in mind the second chink in the armor. The movie is a period piece. Being a period piece isn't a bad thing, but the people in the movie speak an old-timey speak. The movie takes place during the 1630s, and there's a lot of these, thus, thys, and thous. A lot of other weird old-timey dialogue that is okay, but there's another problem. There are a few scenes where people are speaking quietly or kind of mumbly, and you combine that with the old-timey speak, so you find yourself saying, what the hell are they talking about?
We can search no more, Caleb. We cannot. If not a wolf, then hunger would have taken him yet.
That's why the second viewing for me was better at home. I could rewind it and see what I missed. I know it sounds like I'm complaining about the movie, but I'm trying not to. It is a very good horror movie. There's a lot to enjoy here. You just have to keep those things in mind when going in. It has some of the best atmosphere that I've seen in a modern horror movie. Everything in this movie is gray. Whenever the sun is out, it's always behind some clouds. I'm starting to believe that the sun didn't exist in the 1600s. The main girl carries this movie. You feel so sympathetic to her because her parents keep dumping on her, and the 2 youngest kids keep trying to pin her because she's a witch. All this because of a botched game of peekaboo. I really don't get it. There's nothing in this movie that would suggest she is a witch. What makes these people think she's a witch?
Well, she turned me into a newt!
A newt?
I got better.
Okay, let's move on. And the build-up is worth it. When the creepy gets started, the creepy don't leave. Also, the ending is great. It's one of the best final images I've seen in a horror movie in a long time. I'm a guy who likes a good final image in my horror movie, something that will stick with you, and this ending does. My first viewing wasn't great, but my second viewing was so much better that I actually find myself recommending the movie. And if you've seen this movie before and you felt let down because of all of the hype, try giving this movie another watch now that all the hype has died down. You might like it more. Now let me ask you, what's a movie that you liked more the second time you watched it? For me, it's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The first time I watched it, I thought it was me, but after watching it multiple times, it's become one of my favorite movies of all time. This is your buddy Justin, here to remind you that the Grindhouse will never die.
Away! Away! Away!